Welcome back everybody to our next chapter, our reading of books at bedtime. This week we're reading from Horrid Henry's Wicked Ways, and we're going to start on the next chapter of the series this week. We hope you enjoy it. Are you ready? Here we go. Horrid Henry and the Fangmangler. Horrid Henry snatched his skeleton bank and tried to twist it open the trapdoor. Mum was taking him to toy heaven tomorrow. At last Henry would be able to buy the toy of his dreams, a dungeon drink kit. Ha ha ha, the tricks he'd play on his family, substituting their drinks for dungeon stinkers. Best of all, Moody Margaret would be green with envy. She wanted a dungeon drink kit too, but she didn't have any money. He'd have one first, and no way was Margaret ever going to play with it. Except for buying the occasional sweet and a few comics, Henry had been saving his money for weeks. Perfect Peter peeked round the door. I've saved €7.53, said Peter proudly, jingling his piggy bank. More than enough to buy my nature kit. How much do you have? Millions, said Henry. Perfect Peter gasped. You do not, said Peter, do you? Henry shook his bank. A thin rattle came from within. That doesn't sound like millions, said Peter. That's 'cause £5 notes don't rattle, stupid, said Henry. Mum! Henry called me stupid, shrieked Peter. Stop being horrid, Henry, shouted Mum. Horrid Henry gave the lid of his bank a final yank and spilled the contents onto the floor. A single, solitary 5-pence coin rolled out. Henry's jaw dropped. He grabbed the bank and fumbled around inside, but it was empty. I've been robbed, howled Horrid Henry. Where's my money? Who stole my money? Mam ran into the room. What's all the fuss? Peter stole my money, screamed Henry. He glared at his brother. Just wait till I get my hands on you, you little thief. No one stole your money, Henry, said Mum. You've spent it all on sweets and comics. I have not, shrieked Henry. Mum pointed to the enormous pile of comics and sweet wrappers littering the floor of Henry's bedroom. What's all that then? Asked Mum. Horrid Henry stopped shrieking. It was true. He had spent all his pocket money on comics and sweets. He just hadn't noticed. It's not fair, he screamed. I saved all my pocket money, Mum, said Perfect Peter. After all, a penny saved is a penny earned. Mum smiled at him. Well done, Peter. Henry, let this be a lesson to you. I can't wait to buy my nature kit, said Perfect Peter. You should have saved your money like I did, instead of wasting it, Henry. Henry growled and sprang at Peter. He was an Indian warrior scalping a settler. Yow! Squealed Peter. Henry, stop it, shouted Mum. Say sorry to Peter. I'm not sorry, screamed Henry. I want my money. Any more nonsense from you, young man, and we won't be going to toy heaven, said Mum. Henry scowled. I don't care, he muttered. What was the point of going to toy heaven if he couldn't buy any toys? Horrid Henry lay on his bedroom floor, kicking sweet wrappers. That dungeon drink kit cost €4.99. He had to get some money by tomorrow. The question was how. He could steal Peter's money. That was tempting, as he knew the secret place in Peter's cello case where Peter hid his bank. Wouldn't that be fun when Peter discovered his money was gone? Henry smiled. On second thoughts, perhaps not. Mum and Dad would be sure to suspect Henry, especially if he'd suddenly had money and Peter didn't. He could sell some of his comics to Moody Margaret. No, shrieked Henry, clutching his comics to his chest. Not his precious comics. There had to be another way. Then Henry had a wonderful, spectacular idea. It was so superb that he did a wild dance for joy. That dungeon drink kit was as good as his, and better still, Peter would give him all the money he needed. Henry chortled. This would be as easy as taking sweets from a baby and a lot more fun. Horrid Henry strolled down the hall to Peter's room. Peter was having a meeting of the Best Boys Club, motto Can I Help, with his friends Tiny Ted, Spotless Sam and Goody Goody Gordon. What luck! More money for him. Henry smiled as he put his ear to the keyhole and listened to them discussing their good deeds. I helped an old lady across the road and I ate all my vegetables, said Perfect Peter. I kept my room tidy all week, said Tidy Ted. I scrubbed the bath without being asked, said Spotless Sam. I never once forgot to say please and thank you, said Goody Goody Gordon. Henry pushed past the barricades and burst into Peter's room. Password? Screeched Perfect Peter. Vitamins, said Horrid Henry. How did you know? Said Tidy Ted, staring open-mouthed at Henry. Never you mind, said Henry, who was not a master spy for nothing. I don't suppose any of you know about Fangmanglers. The boys looked at one another. What are they? asked Spotless Sam. Only the slimiest, scariest, most horrible and frightening monsters in the whole world, said Henry. And I know where to find one. Where? Said Goody Gordon. I'm not going to tell you, said Horrid Henry. Oh, please, said Spotless Sam. Henry shook his head and lowered his voice. Fangmanglers only come out at night, whispered Henry. They slip into the shadows, then sneak out and bite you, he suddenly shrieked. The Best Boys Club members gasped with fright. I'm not scared, said Peter, and I've never heard of a Fangmangler. That's because you're too young, said Henry. Grown-ups don't tell you about them because they don't want to scare you. I want to see it, said Tiny Ted. Me too, said Spotless Sam, and Goody Gordon. Peter hesitated for a moment. Is this a trick, Henry? Of course not, said Henry, and just for that I won't let you come. Oh, please, Henry, said Peter. Henry paused. All right, we'll meet in the back garden after dark, but it will cost you £2 each. £2, they squealed. Do you want to see a Fangmangler or don't you? Perfect Peter exchanged a look with his friends. They all nodded. Good, said Horrid Henry. See you at 6 o'clock, and don't forget to bring your money. Tee-hee, chortled Henry silently. £8. He could get a dungeon trinket and a grisly gold grub box at this rate. Loud screams came from next door's garden. Give me back my spade, came Moody Margaret's bossy tones. You're so mean, Margaret, squealed Sour Susan's sulky voice. Well, I won't. It's my turn to dig with it now. Whack, twack, wah! £8 is nice, thought Horrid Henry, but 12 is even nicer. What's going on? Asked Horrid Henry, smirking as he leapt over the wall. Go away, Henry, shouted Moody Margaret. Yeah, Henry, echoed Sour Susan, wiping away her tears. We don't want you. All right, said Henry, then I won't tell you about the Fangmangler I found. We don't want to know about it, said Margaret, turning her back on him. That's right, said Susan. Well, then don't blame me when the Fangmangler sneaks over the wall, rips you to pieces and chews off your guts, said Horrid Henry. He turned to go. The girls looked at one another. Wait, ordered Margaret. Yeah, said Henry. You don't scare me, said Margaret. Prove it then, said Henry. How, said Margaret. Be in my garden at 6 o'clock tonight and I'll show you the Fangmangler. But it will cost you £2 each. Forget it, said Margaret. Come on, Susan. OK, said Henry quickly. £1 each. No, said Margaret. And your money back if the Fangmangler doesn't scare you, said Henry. Moody Margaret smiled. It's a deal, she said. When the coast was clear, Horrid Henry crept into the bushes and hid a bag containing his supplies, an old torn t-shirt, some filthy trousers and a jumbo-sized bottle of ketchup. Then he sneaked back into the house and waited for dark. Thank you, said Horrid Henry, collecting £2 from each member of the Best Boys Club. Henry placed the money carefully in his skeleton bank. Boy, was he rich! Moody Margaret and Sour Susan handed over £1 each. Remember, Henry, we get our money back if we weren't scared, hissed Moody Margaret. Shut up, Margaret, said Henry. I'm risking my life, and all you can think about is money. Now everybody wait here. Don't move and don't talk, he whispered. We have to surprise the Fangmangler. If not... Henry paused and drew his fingers across his throat. I'm a goner. I'm going off now to hunt for the monster. When I find him and it's safe, I'll whistle twice. Then everybody come as quietly as you can, but be careful. Henry disappeared into the black darkness of the garden. For a long, long moment there was silence. This is stupid, said Moody Margaret. Suddenly a low, moaning growl echoed through the moonless night. What was that? Said Spotless Sam nervously. Henry? Are you all right, Henry? Squeaked Perfect Peter. The low moaning growl turned into a snarl. Thrash, crash. Help! Help! The Fangmangler's after me! Run for your lives! Screamed Horrid Henry, smashing through the bushes. His t-shirt and trousers were torn. There was blood everywhere. The Best Boys Club screamed and ran. Sour Susan screamed and ran. Moody Margaret screamed and ran. Horrid Henry screamed and stopped. He waited until he was alone. Then Horrid Henry wiped some ketchup off his face, clutched his bank and did a war dance around the garden, whooping with joy. Money, 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 money. He squealed, leaping and stomping. He danced and pranced, he twirled and he whirled. He was so busy dancing and cackling he didn't notice a shadowy shape slip into the garden behind him. Money, 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 mine, mine, he broke off. What was that noise? Horrid Henry's throat tightened. Nah, he thought, it's nothing. Then suddenly a dark shape leapt out of the bushes and let out a thunderous roar. Horrid Henry shrieked with terror. He dropped his money and ran for his life. The thing scooped up his bank and slithered over the wall. Horrid Henry did not stop running until he was safely in his room, with the door shut tight and barricaded. His heart pounded. There really is a Fangmangler, he thought, trembling, and now it's after me. Horrid Henry hardly slept a wink. He started awake at every squeak and creak. He shook and he shrieked. Henry had such a bad night that he slept in late the next morning, tossing and turning. Fizz, pop, gurgle, bang. Henry jerked awake. What was that? He peeked his head out from under the duvet and listened. Fizz, pop, gurgle, bang. These fizzing and popping noises seemed to be coming from next door. Henry ran to the window, pulled open the curtains. There was Moody Margaret sitting beside a large toy heaven bag. In front of her was a dungeon drink kit. She saw him, smiled, and raised a glass of bubbling black liquid. Want a Fangmangler drink, Henry? Asked Margaret sweetly.